Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Polly and I review apparently a lot of Montella Mancera. This is no different, but I really want to share this fragrance with you. I have a suspicion that this one and I think Wind Wood are not all that different. I would like to get a little guy of Wind Wood just to compare the two, but there is a lot of similar notes there. But let's get to this one, okay? So today we're talking about Oud Violet, almost said velvet, violet. So what I want you to do is to ignore the word oud. It is woody fragrance, yes, but this is not an oudy fragrance. Violet is not the main note. This is not a feminine fragrance. There is maybe 5% at best at the very end of the dry down that can be leaning slightly feminine. It's not even leaning feminine. It's just has a feminine tone, very slight tone of the violet. But the violet here is not a girly floral note. It's not dominant at all. So that's just regarding the name. If you're a man that looking at this and thinking this is going to be a floral oud, this is not a floral oud. Far from it. On Fragrantica, the reviews that I got were really kind of half and half. Some said, oh my god, this is so masculine. Some people, oh, this is really leaning feminine. To me, this is very leaning masculine. Like 95% of this is all masculine. The main character of this fragrance is a vetiver. Vetiver can be done in many ways. I have a few vetiver fragrances, and this one is very different. This one has, it's almost like a smoky vetiver. But let's go over the notes and all of them. So it's described as woody, yes. Earthy, yes. Kind of cold and damp kind of earth. Violet, powdery at the very dry down, okay? And very slightly. This is not a powdery kind of, it's not Dior Homme or the Prada. No. Mossy and green. Very mossy and yes, green. So in the opening you have green notes, bergamot and spices. They're very through. It's a very zesty, green, sharp opening. The spices, they're not warm, they're not Middle Eastern, there's no cinnamon or anything like that. It's just kind of sharp. And you get the vetiver, honestly, from the very beginning. Through the entire story of this fragrance, you always have the vetiver. Then in the heart, you have the violet, which appears only in the very last dry down, which we're talking about like 6-7 hours later. The oud and patchouli. The patchouli is very cold and damp. The oud, if it's present here, maybe it's part of what's giving it that smoky undertone. But this is not a smoky fragrance, but it's, think if you're in a cold day and you know the damp earth and all of that, and a mile away somebody is burning wood. Maybe part of it is also some vetiver, and there's vetiver around you, and you're getting the whiff of that burn from a mile, if not even longer away, from the wind. So it's barely there, but it's just the type of vetiver. This is not a smoky fragrance. Again, not smoky. Sorry about that. Had a little cough moment. Woo. Okay, and then in the base we have the vetiver, which again, I'm telling you, it's from the entire story of this odor, of this perfume. Then you have moss, same thing. You always have the moss and the amber. I think the amber is at the very end, that with the violet. And that's what makes it kind of softer, powdery, clean with the violet. And that's the part that is that 5% feminine, okay? Now, the opening, you get your green notes, your vetiver, your moss, bergamot, and the spices, okay? That's what you get in the blast with the patchouli. And honestly, it kind of remains that way for a very, very long time. We're talking about hours. What changes in those hours? I would say intensity of certain notes, maybe the bergamot and the green notes that kind of calm down from the intense sharpness. The vetiver a little bit takes over and smooths things out a little bit. I personally love this fragrance. It's green and zesty and mossy, so it's not warm or gourmand or anything like that, spicy. So the association would be spring and summer, which I think a man can definitely pull out. For me, my use, for me, there's something very gray about this fragrance, very cold about this fragrance. The patchouli is very cold and damp, and the violet is not a sweet, pretty floral. It's almost like a violet that was put on a cold stone grave, or in a mausoleum, or just something really old about this fragrance with the vetiver, almost like an abandoned old, I don't know, like cemetery on a cold gray day. It's not very melancholic. It's just, for me, it does have, I do think there's going to be more fragrances to this. There is something soapy about this a little bit with all that sharpness. It smells familiar. So there is uniqueness for this for me personally in my collection. I do love men fragrances, but I'm more exposed to feminine fragrances. So for me, exposure to a masculine fragrance is more, therefore it's unique for me, you know? I think there are fragrances similar, but I have to say that this one is beautiful. It is green, it is sharp, it is mossy, it is vetiver, but there's some kind of, maybe from the amber, something clean and like a 2% of sweetness, or something that curves it without making it so sharp and so intense that it's all green moss and vetiver. So it's more rounded. This is beautiful. It's mossy, it's aromatic. Maybe the violet, it also what helps it from evolving into that green kind of very too much of a fragrance, but you never smell the violet directly until later in the dry down. And even then, it's not a floral fragrance. I think this is a very safe blind buy for a man if you like vetiver and you're looking for something something kind of fun and interesting. The performance of this is insane. Do not overspray. I'm an oversprayer. This is not to overspray with. I did that and I paid the price. No. This is not for that. I think it's beautiful. I think this one would be like really good for fall. I don't know, there's something very gray for me about it. Not because it's smoky. There's nothing smoky. There's more a warm, not warm, but like a sweetness with that violet and the amber in it more than any kind of smoke or anything like that. It's almost like the best fresh fragrance for fall, with gray skies and a wind that kind of blows around you and kind of lets this odor kind of move around in the air. This one is so beautiful. But I'm dying to try the Wind Wood, because it has violet. I think it also has iris and a few more notes. And I love this, but I don't want to have, you know, two fragrances that are like crazy similar. But I want to try a little guy of Wind Wood. I really would like to compare those two. But this one, I think it's for a man, if you're a man. Great for the office, for every day. But there is some elegance to this. There is elegance. So I can absolutely see a man wearing this to a restaurant or some kind of occasion. It's very friendly. Yeah, this is a really good fragrance. Same thing for a woman. There's something really interesting about this. It's really, really good. I really love this. I would recommend you guys to check it out. Yeah, it's one of my favorite unique fragrances that I have. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me. Do subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Bye.